Hello, everyone out there in podcast world. Hope you're having a great day. You're listening to the Service Business Mastery Podcast. I'm your host, Tersh Blissett. Today, we have Mark Schwartz here with us with ViewPoint. And ViewPoint is a little bit different. It's going to be different than a CRM. It's not a CRM. A lot of you listeners know that I'm really big into CRMs and just in general, and that communication between the client and the companies. And what we're going to talk about today is more of like your subcontractors, a product called Service Tech, and somebody. So for people, this is going to be focused on people who do a lot of projects, maybe construction work, and not so much of the service side of things. So if you've listened to the podcast, you know that we do a lot of service, like that we're primarily service-based company. We do very little of the project-oriented type things. So whenever I ask questions, it's going to be genuinely for me because I don't know the answers to these questions. So welcome to the show, Mark.
Thank you, Tersh. ViewPoint actually has a couple products, one called Spectrum and one called Vista. We're going to be talking about Spectrum today, and we are going to talk about service. At least I hope we talk about service.
Yeah.
I get my role in the organization is I'm a senior product manager, and I'm responsible for our service portion of the software as well as various project work as well.
Perfect.
The different, and I've listened to some of your other podcasts, and frankly I love your focus on the customer and that communication with the customer. It's so crucial.
It really is.
Our business is built around managing your business once you've landed that customer. Mm-hmm. And to provide that back office support, the accounting stuff. We've got, I'm a product manager. There's another product manager on the Spectrum side named Joff, and Joff's an accountant, and the two of us kind of tease each other about the difference between the accountants and the project guys, the production guys. And I think the biggest thing that we've learned is that they really are two different people. Mm-hmm. It's like if you wanted to be, if your listeners had wanted to be accountants, they would have been, but they chose to be technicians.
Yeah. And most of us, we get freaked out by numbers like that. I mean, I like numbers, but that takes numbers to another level. And
it's that, and yet you need those numbers. That's the part. Absolutely. That's the tough part. You need those numbers to know, is your business gonna do well? I always ask, my customers, at the end of the day, how's your dinner? I mean, when you're laying in bed waiting to fall asleep, is it hard to fall asleep because you're worried about these things you don't really have a good handle on? Mm. That's where getting those numbers under control is so crucial. And what we think we bring to the party, I don't want to brag, but what we bring to the party is going to be that ability to have the numbers there for your numbers guys. And what I do is say, hey, look, for the guys in the field, how do we make it as if the numbers guys weren't around? Mm. It's like let's get it simple for the guys in the field. Let's focus on the field guys so that here, I'll tell you another story.
Go ahead.
If I were making pizzas or building cars, I know that my customers would love my products because we all love to drive cars and we all love to eat pizza.
Absolutely.
But on the other hand, I make a product that I know my customers would prefer not to use because technicians don't like paperwork. I've never found a technician that goes, I can't wait to fill out this work order.
Thing out.
It just doesn't happen. Nope. So I'm responsible for building a product that guys don't want to use. So I have to make my product designed in such a way that they don't have to use it very much. Mm. And that's what we've looked to do on Service Tech. And so what Service Tech does is it's something that technicians can use. It's on their phone. It gives them all the information they need. Well, it will. We're still kind of new. It's still young in its life cycle.
How old has it been out? I don't remember.
Well, we have. Yeah, it's confusing. So you better sit back. I have a story to tell. Service Tech started its life as a browser-based product. So that means you could pull up a a web page, it would have everything you need. It's pretty cool. Our customers came back to us and said, okay, nice try, but you really need to make it an app.
Yeah.
And so we're building it out. And one of the things you learn when you're building these products is that they're too expensive to wait until everything's done before you release it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So you have to release it in chunks. So I hope all your listeners go on, pull their phones out. I'm going to make a plug. So
okay, go ahead.
Get ready. Get your phone out right now. Go to your app store. If you're an Apple guy, go to your app store. If you're a Google guy, go to your Google Play Store. And then search on Spectrum Service Tech. So you can search on that, and then you can download the app, and there's a demo database to play with. And right now, the app just does three things. It just does labor, and it just does notes and images. And we will eventually have all the other things that you'll need, like signature capture and materials, other charges, custom forms.
So the way it's set up right now is set up for primarily time and material, so not flat rate pricing, book type stuff.
With tasks, flat rate tasks
Okay.
are on their way. So you'll have all of that.
Cool.
Is going to be coming. But right now, I would encourage just to see what's out there, and you can go ahead and download that and start playing around. And then you can start thinking about, okay, how do we do it today? I know that, like I said, I understand this, that you focus brilliantly on customer communication, but now once you have the customer, how do you smooth out that process of servicing the customer? And so the work orders need to be built. Your guys need to pick up those work orders. They need to fill out the T&M or the flat rate task work that they did. That needs to flow back to the office, or they need to collect payment. If they're retail, if you're an industrial or commercial guy, that information has to flow back to the office. Maybe someone in the office needs to review it before they send out the invoice.
Yeah.
You want that, all of that paper. I'm going to use the air quote here. All that paperwork. You want all of that as automated as possible, because the more paper you have to touch, just.
Oh yeah, the more
struggle.
stuff that the ball gets dropped, or it's done improperly. And if there's any way to automate it, that's going to be absolutely key.
Yeah, I mean, the brilliance is, I've got a lot of gray hair, and so
no hair. So.
Well, my gray hair comes from being around a long time, and I was around when the first IBM PC came out, and I went and bought one because I was looking forward to having that computer do everything for me.
Yeah.
And we've been doing this for a long time. We know that that's just not quite true.
Yep. Very true.
And so we're still working. The more we can build workflows, that process of what do I do when I get a work order, all the way through out to the tech and then back into the office for billing, automating that process and having that be smooth so that you guys can scale.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're thinking about working with us, we work with, guys that have more than a couple trucks traditionally.
Yes, not usually one guy in a truck or two guys in a truck.
Right. So we're going to be
a bigger company.
You're
going to be probably 15, 20 trucks at least.
Yeah, or 10, let's say.
Yeah.
So our guys and so those guys are thinking about how am I going to make this easier? How am I going to scale my business? You think about your business, and it's funny, you meet two kinds of people. Some guys, they like to get that truck and they're happy with their 1 or 2 truck operation. There are other guys and they want to go, I think I can do better.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about that little nicer house, maybe the little better vacation, maybe to give my wife a break so she doesn't have to work so hard.
Yeah.
You're thinking about all that stuff. And so how do you get your business bigger? How do you scale it without having to add more overhead, without having to add more staff?
Yeah.
So
that's key right there. Because that staff overhead, that's a non-billable overhead item. So
Yeah.
it's tough to increase your prices to justify, adding 3 or 4 people in the office. If you can replace those 3 or 4 people with a software program, that's going to be golden.
Well, think about, yeah. I mean, just think about the work that it takes to process a work order.
Yeah.
I just think about it. And you don't think about these things because it's the ugly part of the bit. There's
Mm-hmm.
always the fun part, which
Mm-hmm.
is going out and fixing stuff. And then there's the ugly part, which is that back office stuff again. Nobody
Organizing.
thinks about the ugly part. And I'm sorry for bringing everyone down to ask you to start thinking about the ugly part.
Yeah. I just
It's,
remember back in '05 when I first got into the industry, I remember everything was on a triple carbon paper
yeah,
invoice. And then you filled it out. You hopefully, if you got a check, hopefully you attached it somehow or cash. Um, if it was a credit card number, you either had to write down the credit card number, which wasn't safe, or you had to call the office and and put the credit card processed. And then you had to take the paper back in. Hopefully you didn't lose anything in the process. You turned it in. They have to file it. They have to manually type in everything that was written on the invoice. And then hopefully it's filed away somewhere properly so it doesn't get lost. And then it just turns into this really long drawn out process.
yeah, it's just a symphony of pain and suffering.
Yeah.
And things that revolve around pain and suffering tend not to get done.
Absolutely. Yeah. You'd have a huge stack of stuff that needs to be input into the system. You're like, why haven't you done that yet? Oh, I've just been so busy, air quotes, busy doing other things. Yeah.
I'd still have one of my first customers was in North Carolina, and it was a pretty good size operation. And he had he had like $750,000 outstanding invoices that was over 45 days old.
Yeah.
And I said, what's the deal here? And he said, because he started to take me through his process. And his process was just a whole bunch of ugly
Yeah.
from what they had to do. It was reasonable. He wasn't being unreasonable in what he had to do, but the reason why you turn to a company like ours is because you're thinking, yeah, I could do this a little bit better.
Yeah.
I could smooth some of these things out. It's going to be hard now, but I'm looking downstream to say we're going to be prepared for growth. And that's kind of what we're looking to do.
Yeah, I really like that. So with that productivity and all that other stuff, um, what, so your target, so who is it that should be reaching out to you? Because obviously we've discussed that it's not going to be a one-man shop. That's not going to be your target audience. Who that's listening to this is going to be going to benefit the most by implementing your program?
I think if you're at about a $5 million range
Mm-hmm.
annual gross, then you should reach out to us.
And which
A lot of
industries?
your all your traditional subs, your HVAC guys, your plumbers, your electrical guys. If you have a service business,
Mm-hmm.
and certainly if you have a service business and or you have a project oriented business, or you got both, the beauty of what we're bringing, a lot of guys I talk to, they go, well, we started out doing projects, and then we said, so they bought QuickBooks for contractors, and they're working off QuickBooks. And I used to run a business on QuickBooks. I'm not going to say anything bad about them. They're pretty cool. But then they go, but then we saw we had to get a service. So now they've got QuickBooks for projects, and they bought a service package, and now, they're kind of integrated.
Yeah.
It's another part of what my responsibilities are integrating.
Make sure you go all in.
Yeah, I mean the integrations. There's always the puppies and butterflies part of something, and then there's the ugly details.
Mm-hmm.
So the puppies and butterflies are, we're going to integrate package A with package B, and that means maybe we're going to share customers, or we're going to share some other things. But as you use the package and go, hey, I got to really get this thing fine-tuned, you'll find out that there are parts of the integration that's just too much work to do. And that's the ugly details.
Mm-hmm.
What we come to a customer and say, look, we've already handled all the ugly details. We're the ugly detail people. It's probably not a phrase my marketing guys are going to want to use, but
yeah. Just what I was thinking.
but but that's when you get right into it, that's what it's about. It's making sure all those little parts connect together.
Mm-hmm.
So as an example, if you're a project guy, how do you manage projects? We've got a whole job cost system to help you do that. What if you want to start tracking, RFIs and drawings and plans? We've got stuff to do that. But then on the other hand, 20%, 25% of your business is in service. How do you you need to manage that, and you share the same companies, and you don't want to have separate purchasing systems. You don't want to have separate AP systems. We're bringing all that together in one shot. We have a name for that. We call that ViewPoint One. Little hat tip to my marketing guys. I want to make sure I threw that out there.
ViewPoint One. Cool. I like it. So where do they need to go to learn more about you and connect with you?
You can look us up on ViewPoint. I haven't been to the website. I better go make sure I'm giving you the right stuff here. Hang on.
ViewPoint.com.
Yeah. Hold on. Is that what it is?
That's it. Yeah.
This is where my marketing guys come after me with a big stick.
Yeah. They're gonna be like, oh man, Mark.
Yeah. Let me make sure I'm not lying to you here. Yeah. ViewPoint.com will get you there.
Perfect. Cool. I appreciate you spending some time with us today and sharing this with us. Is there anything that we didn't ask?
You didn't ask me again for how to download Service Tech, so I'm going to help you with that again. So I'd say go to your app store and go to Spectrum Service Tech, download the app, play with it a little bit. If you like it and you're thinking, man, I ought to get involved in this, then you can go to the viewpoint.com and then get a custom demo, and we'll start setting up, taking good care of you.
Cool. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All right, Tersh, go have some fun.
Absolutely. You too.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.